You have to be your own hero. You can't rely on other people for inspiration. I shot this scathing rant recently on people with this epidemic of goals, people going after other people's goals. And all over social media, I see people and they're so enamored by the vain things, by looks, by money, by prestige, by status, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. But I don't see people being their own heroes. I see people emulating the wrong people as their heroes. We look up to Hollywood, but a lot of the people we look up to are just because of their image, because of their status, because of their power. And all of us are looking for other people out there to be our saviors, right? We're looking for people out there to be our role models, when in reality, you need to be your own hero. This comes back to that idea of going after your biggest goals, figuring out what you want instead of what society wants, or Instagram wants, or YouTube wants, or this industry, that industry wants, what the cool kids want. It comes back to understanding what you as an individual want. What is your unique dream? Is your unique dream mastery, being an epic musician? Is it being an incredible painter? Is it being phenomenal at some other aspect of music or drawing or a sport? What is it that you truly want, and why do you actually want it? You need to be your own hero. When I was in my early 20s and I moved to China because I was looking for this epic adventure, I gave up my job. I was a teaching assistant in New York, and I moved to China one-way ticket because I wanted to go study Kung Fu and meditation with monks and mystics and sages, and I just wanted to be a monk for 5 years. So I boarded this one-way flight. I go off to China. I learn to speak, read, and write Chinese. I go off, I do all these cool things. I study in the park completely in Chinese, getting my ass kicked by Chinese masters. I was the only white person there. And it just made me realize when I got back, everyone was like, "Oh man, Alex, you're so lucky. You're so lucky." As if I just magically woke up and my ass was in China. There's no luck there. I had to think about what I really wanted. I had to realize that, hey, I was 22, there may never be another good time to move to China for a little bit over a year and do what I've always wanted to do. There may not be another opportunity to do that any other time in my life. And here's the thing, I knew that my dream life entailed travel. I knew that my dream life involved being able to travel a lot, at least every year, if not multiple times per year, even with a full-time job. And guess what? I didn't have any role models for that. My parents had steady, secure jobs, which is awesome, which is important, but I wanted that plus some. I wanted the safe, secure job that I loved, and I wanted to travel multiple times a year. And guess what? I didn't have role models. I didn't know a person, an elder, any other public figure that did that had the exact life I wanted. So I had to create that. I had to be my own hero. I had to put on paper, okay, Alex, how many times a year do you really want to travel? Do you want to travel year round? I did it and I realized I didn't like it. Okay, do you want to travel once a year? Do you want to travel 3 times a year? What do you want to do? So then what I did was, you know what? I wrote down in a notebook, okay, when I'm at the point financially and time-wise that I can travel whenever I want, what I want to do is I want to go on one adventure per quarter. So that means every 3 months, I want to go on one adventure. So then I would break the year into quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, January, February, March, the first quarter. What's my adventure going to be? And it could be as simple as going on a hike in, nearby Pennsylvania. It could be going on a wolf tracking expedition in Alaska, going to Spain to write a book. I just put down all the adventures I wanted to do and the coolest life imaginable that I thought of. What was the coolest life imaginable? I put that all in that notebook because, again, I had to become my own hero. Nobody had the exact goals that I wanted to do. Nobody had the exact vision that I wanted to do. Nobody could paint the perfect picture for me. And the average person is just gonna be average. They're not gonna be a great role model. Even if you love them, even if they're a great person, they're not gonna be that perfect role model because maybe they themselves, none of us are perfect, but maybe they themselves haven't even thought about this kind of stuff. Years ago, when I was thinking about how I could do what I loved and get paid for it, I would ask people double or triple my age, and so many of these people would say things like, "Well, Alex, you seem to have it figured all out, so I think you'll do well." And I was just so confused because how could a 70-year-old person, how could you live on the earth that long and not have thought about this? How could you live on the earth that long and never think about how am I going to build that dream life? The reality is that the average person does not think about this kind of stuff. And you may need to be an island. One of the things that a lot of successful people talk about is how lonely it is. And it's not that it has to be lonely, but by definition, if you're trying to do great things or live in just a unique, exciting life, you're gonna have to do what the average person has not done and was not willing to do. You're gonna have to think differently. You're gonna have to act differently. Maybe at the start it means working longer hours, which means not going out with friends. Maybe it means you're not gonna wanna spend money on beer anymore because you realize, hey, $100 a week I spend in New York City going out, that right there, $400 a month, that is my trip anywhere in the world for 3 weeks every single year. When you think about it like that, it's pretty easy to choose the right decision for you. You have to be your own hero. You have to figure out what the dream is, and then you have to work towards it. Like I said, I didn't have specific role models that lived the exact life I wanted. I look up to and respect my parents a ton, but there were aspects of their life that I did like and I didn't like. So when I was 22, I opened up this notebook and I wrote down the perfect Alex, the James Bond Alex. And I thought, you know what? Number one, who has the coolest life? Real person or made up? Who has the absolute coolest life? And I didn't mean like, oh, all these thrills, like the cars, the women, all this BS and the money. If you want that to be part of it, that's fine. But I wrote down, what is the coolest life in every aspect? Physical, spiritual, adventure. How many languages do I speak? What's my relationship look like? What is my work? What is my passion? And I started writing down the James Bond Alex. What are all these things that James Bond Alex would have? Well, physically he'd look like that. He would feel like that. He would meditate 40 minutes to an hour a day. He would have multiple books authored. He'd be a doctor of Chinese medicine. He would have fantastic conversational skills, so he could speak to a homeless man or a king all the same. He would have a girlfriend and he would be an awesome boyfriend or an awesome husband one day. He would be an evolved spiritual dad that tried to teach his kids spiritual lessons. He would travel every 2 weeks. He would speak French and Chinese. He would know judo. He would be a really nice person. I just went down the whole list. I put together the James Bond Alex list. And for me, it was about the kind of person that I wanted to be. And again, there was no role model for me. There was no real life Dos Equis guy, right? He didn't exist. I had to figure out what it would take for me to become my own hero. So my question for you today is simple. You may not have the role models that you want, that you need to develop that great life, whether it's the fitness, the financial, the relationship, or something else. But my parting question to you is, what would your life look like if you treated yourself as your own hero?